Hello, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here and continuing to listen to my story. Um, when we left off, I had kind of come to the acceptance, which is a big part of our journey, is to kind of accept what's happening for us, I didn't say to us, because we've chosen this path. So what is happening to you on your journey, you've already have chosen for that to happen, if that makes sense. So if you remember, I don't know if you've been watching my videos, if you remember back, there was a time after going back to psychic school and we were doing some practice readings one day, and this gentleman walked in, and I was doing a session with someone. This gentleman walked in and he kind of saw me and made a bee's line right towards me. And he says, I need to do a reading for you. And I was like, okay. And that's when he told me, you have a lot of stuff. Like spirit's telling me to tell you that you need to like minimalize your stuff. And I'm like, I've never had to do that before. And that was kind of a shocker. He also said that you're going to be doing work with homeless women. So my thought on that is, okay, I'm going to donate some of this stuff that I have to homeless shelters or something. And that's exactly what I went and did. But I guess what my path was supposed to be was to experience whatever this life was, being homeless, being within a shelter, experience with other homeless women, and also having experience being out on the street, which I was for 3 days, um, that I spent overnight. And three always seems to be my number. Like that's my connection with spirit. A lot of times they send me 333. So I know when I see threes orders, it was going to be like 3 nights that I was going to be outside. Things like that, 3 years, 3 months, 3 days. So always look for those kind of synchronicities in your own um, life. So there was this acceptance that I just needed to stay in my car, which was very comfortable. Once I put the blankets down and that like foam padding on the bottom, and had kind of set a routine of kind of sleeping, going to, I guess, Cracker Barrel around 9 o'clock at night after going to like McDonald's or Walmart, going to the restroom. And then I would go into Cracker Barrel and put up my shades. And I always felt pretty safe. Um, there was only one time I had said in the last one I was going to tell you that I had just got there. It was kind of probably, it might have been on a weekend when I went a little bit earlier. And I had started probably by October, end of September, beginning of October, I had started parking in the back behind the building, which is a little bit more secluded. And there was one parking space next to like a bunch of weeds, tall weeds that was to me felt very secure. And I had just got to the parking lot, and somebody walked by and kind of like banged on my hood. And I was like, oh my goodness, like who's that? And when I kind of peeked out, I don't know, like you always hear, you hear things that happen at rest stops and weird things like that. And I don't know what this dude was, what he was doing or whatever. And like that was the only time, but I knew I was protected. Like he wasn't going to try anything. Um, so then I would get up at 4:45, go to McDonald's. Sometimes I went to Dunkin' Donuts because sometimes McDonald's wasn't ready yet. Go to Dunkin' Donuts, get coffee, and then I would go to Walmart and kind of sit and drink my coffee, do my journaling in the parking lot. And at 6 o'clock they opened, and I would go in and use the restroom and get whatever food items I needed for that day, and then go to the gym, take my shower, get dressed, and get back in the car as normal and drive to work. And it was the weirdest thing because I would go into work normally, like I was coming from my house, and no one knew the difference. At I had gotten to the point too when I was now parking in the back. Um, Sometimes after work, I would kind of go there and sit for a while and then go back out. I have to go to the bathroom before like around 9, but I would kind of just sit and do some journaling, watch some movies or something like that. And I forget what I was going to say now. Because we're now like at the end of September. But there was like a whole kind of culture, I don't know, subculture, I don't know how you say that, society within a society of people that I started seeing the same cars like every night. And of course, you guys see the tent cities and things. So it probably to you, you say, yeah, everybody's there, so they're there. But I was really like surprised to see some of the same campers, some of the same cars. And some of them were like really nice cars. Like I don't know what the situation was. There was this one older gentleman that had pulled up alongside of me one day. He looked like he could have been like an executive on vacation. He had like the Bermuda shorts on with the polo top, salt and pepper hair, and nice car. But every evening he would pull in there. So I don't know if it was a situation, a divorce situation, or um, there could be so many reasons why someone becomes homeless. So I had gotten to kind of, I know I was going to say, gotten to this habit of before leaving work sometimes I would, because in the morning after I got out of the gym, I would put the back seat up and like where my blankets were for like my bedding. I would put that up and then put the shades kind of over my bedding because I didn't want anybody from my job like walking around the parking lot and then see these blankets all laid out. And like it was tinted, so you really couldn't see in there. But if anybody really wanted to look in there, and sometimes after I left work, I would put the seat down in the back and then spread out my things so I wouldn't have to do it later on. Sometimes I would just wait till I got to Walmart and then after I used the restroom, then put the seat down. So I had a kind of a whole routine going and everything was going like really well. One thing I forgot to mention, like I said, I didn't have really too many problems, issues, or anything. I think the one night, remember I was telling you, I think when I had kind of got kicked out of the hotel and I couldn't remember where I went or what happened. I had gone to probably another hotel to try to find a place, and I don't know what had happened. But anyway, it's now around 4 o'clock in the morning. And the gym that I was using, there's a big parking lot there. So I said, well, let me just stay here until going to the parking lot, which was empty. I think there was another couple of truck there and like maybe two other cars. I said, let me just go pull in there. The gym will open and, I could do my usual routine, taking a shower and everything. And I had just fallen asleep, like, because I was still sitting up at this time, just fallen asleep. And I hear like what do you call it? The radio, the police radio, like right around me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I popped up and I hear the police on the radio saying, yeah, it's a Jeep, da, 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 like this, and like running my plates and everything. And I was like, oh no, oh my God. And so like he said, when I opened, the window, he said like the landlord of the property doesn't want anyone sleeping in the parking lot. I guess like he ran my plates and everything. I guess if something would have happened with my plates or whatever, I would have been in trouble. But he didn't say anything. He just said, you can't park here during the night. And I said, and I tried to use the excuse. I said, well, I go into the gym when it opens up at um, usually it's open during the day. I mean, during the week, like 24, and then on the weekend. So it must have been like, say, Sunday night into Monday morning because it wasn't open yet. And he goes, it doesn't matter. Nobody's allowed to park here, when the stores aren't open. So that's when I had to kind of leave and find somewhere else to go. But that was the only other incidents um, that kind of was weird, like, a little hairy. Um, so now let me see, what time is it? Okay. We're now around the beginning of October. And then my weekends would usually just be like the leaves were changing and things would just kind of be like taking different rides around, getting to know Maine. The good thing about my job was that I handled the finances for all New England for our facilities. So I got to know a lot of the different towns within New England, but also especially Maine. So a lot of times I would say, well, let me go see what this town is all about, or this town. And there's so many beautiful lakes and everything. And it was the fall time. Sometimes I would go up to Freeport. If you know anything about Freeport, that's where the headquarters for LL Bean is. I ended up meeting a woman there who was like the head of tourism. And I said to her, I said, like if you ever need any help or whatever, she goes, oh yeah, we do big things here in, Freeport all the time. So I got like an email from her that they were doing their fall fest, and I ended up volunteering there um, during their fall festival, like being like helping people find out where things were. So that was really cool. Um, I actually met another lady there who kind of ran I forget, like a music venue or something, and needed kind of volunteers to help out with like ushering and and then you got to see the program for free. So I volunteered with her for that, and I got to see a really great show um, up in Freeport. And this is probably now the middle of October. So just checking my time. Um, yeah, I think that's kind of what I wanted to kind of cover in this video, like how life was kind of living in my car. The thing was now, when it hit October, it started to get chilly. And I remember like September, it's still kind of warm, out. And the temperature would be at night times like in sometimes the low 50s, maybe get down to the high 40s, but it was still not bad out at all. And I would just, you know, I think I went and got two more covers or something. And by that time, I was trying to get a, what do you call it? Sleeping bag, but they had been all sold out because like so many tourists come up um, to Maine, which is called Vacation Land, uh, during that time. So all the sleeping bags had been sold out. But the once we hit October, the temperature really started to drop at night. And I had a sweatshirt. I would put on like kind of heavy joggers and socks and like a thermal top or, long sleeve t-shirt or something like that with my hoodie and with the blankets. And I sometimes ended up even putting a hat on. And that seemed to be like um, pretty good. There might have been in that time 2, 3 nights where I got like really cold, but nothing like extreme, nothing extreme. Thing was, I was warm under the blankets, but once I went to go get up for the morning and I had to start my car and everything, that's when like the cold really kind of hits you. So I'm gonna leave it there. I kind of just wanted to tell you guys like what it was, life, in the car and those first couple months and you know, just the trials and then just trying to thing was saving up money just to get a place. I didn't know what kind of place I was going to get yet, but just saving up money. And I knew it was getting be too cold for me to be outside soon. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.